Hello, YouTube modeling community. That's right, it's the Fat Man from Alabama coming to you from Don's Garage. And I'm actually out in the garage working today on my Pro Street Group build of 2022, hosted by young Dylan Thomas over at NYS Model Cars. I am in the preliminary build session, I guess you say, where fab work. As I had talked about in my introduction video into this build, I'm using the chassis from the 70 Super B Coronet Pro Street kit. I like the big tubs, the big Mickeys, but I didn't want to use the whole chassis because the engine bay components are completely different, or severely different between the two. So this is the stock 64 Belvedere chassis, or one like it. And I had talked about I was going to cut it and piece it in right in this flat area. It makes working the seam better, or easier. And that's just what we're doing. So as you can see, there's the stock floor pan. The stock rear section with the fuel tank and everything. I've taken the chassis that's actually going under the kit. There's the stock section. I cut it off with the Dremel tool and with a saw blade on my Dremel tool, which I don't recommend to a beginner. I highly recommend that you graduate into tools cautiously and take your time. But here's where we're at this point. I had to massage the upper part of the wheel tub right here. As you can see, the untouched chassis, she's a little wide in the upper hip area. The Belvedere rolls in a little bit more. She's a little narrow in the hip, so I just eased this back a little bit, rounded it off, cleaned up the burrs and whatnot. Here you can see where I've started to cut the Pro Street chassis. It's just clamped on right now, and the clamps come loose. This is about where she's going to go. I've got to cut a little bit more meat off the Pro Street part. I've got it marked with a pencil, but that's about where it's going to sit. I'm going to cut the Pro Street section. Is going to be cut through. I'm cutting off the pinch well through here. I'll cut it through here, and it's going to set, as you can see here in this, with this one where it's clamped up, it's going to fit in through here and through here. This piece is going to settle in where this is all nice and even. This gives me a glue point across this edge, then down this side, and down this side. That way, I mean, it's inevitable. I'm going to drop this chassis probably a couple times before this project's ever finished. Doing it this way lessens the chance of it breaking, a bad glue joint. Secondly, this gives me the kit pinch well up here, so when the car is upside down, it looks a little more finished. Less scratch built look. Basically looks like the kit manufacturer done it that way. That's about all I've gotten done this morning. The Firewall, I have modified it. If you look here, this one's got this big heater box and all right here. I've taken all this out. I'm going to smooth the Firewall up. I want it nice and slick. I don't want anything protruding. Took the Dremel tool with a mill bit and cut that box off, which leaves a big hole. I'll fill that with a piece of probably 30 or 40 thousand sheet plastic. I'll kind of chamfer this edge, lay in a little mud, grind it or sand it back. That way it's nice and smooth. Now, one thing when you're doing a modification like this, with its Firewall, anything relatively flat, remember guys, we're dealing with plastic and it flexes. I mean, it's rather soft. So I take one of my tried and true old sanding blocks. As you can see, this one's been used for all kinds of things. I'll lay it on there like that. Even sometimes I'll clamp it. Then I can take my flat stick and work it this way, and check on a regular basis, because you'll have, you know, when you cut this piece off, it's going to be a little lumpy. You're going to have high and low spots, basically. Flat stick sand it, but don't get too carried away. Make a few passes and look. Make a few passes and look. Once you get a uniformed color in the plastic all the way around, where you don't have a shiny spot, you're about where you need to be. Stop at that point, flip your stick, or go to a finer grit of sandpaper on a block and kind of finish it off. There was a boy, it's not going to show up real good here. There was a little raised spot here. It's a bracing is what it is, for the master cylinder to go. I've smoothed that off. I'm not real sure that the master cylinder is going to set exactly there. I mean, this car was available to Hemi, so the master cylinder should fit with no problem, but we're going to leave that as an option once I start fitting everything in place. Like I said, I want to smooth up the firewall and make it nice and smooth. I'm going to do, like this center fender here, it's got an indentation here for what I believe is the washer bag. I'm going to clean that up. I'll fill it in a little bit with super glue and then finish it off with some body filler. The other side, I don't have that piece out here. It's got a little raised spot for the battery. I'll smooth that off, because a car like this, that's one of the first things. Trunk battery goes to the trunk. It's going to have a Hemi. I'm on the fence of 4-speed or automatic. Kind of the angle I'm going with is someone took their bracket car, or a bracket car, and detuned the motor a little bit, like a hydraulic roller in it, to where she could actually drive it. Haven't done much to the body. But, you know, hung a set of mufflers, a set of DOTs, made sure all the lights work. Hey, they got a pro street car. But that's where we're at with this one. Not a lot of work. A lot of planning's already been done, but a lot of parts are pulled. I'm on the fence about wheels. Tires are a no-brainer. It's get Mickey Thompsons on all 4 corners. Interior, I'm probably going to do a full cage in it. I'm going to play around with the dashboard. I'm not sure if I'm going to run a complete stock gauges and everything in it, or if I'm going to do something a little bit more modern. I'll do that on the fly. Seriously considering stock door panels with blanked rear panels. No back seat. Pro Street car doesn't need back seat. Needs 2 buckets up front with a lot of go under the hood. And that's kind of the direction I'm going with this car. Well, fellas, I hope you enjoyed this minor update. There'll be more coming on this car. I've got some scratch building things I'm going to do. That I'm just going to incorporate videos on them to make it, well, where I can get something done both towards finishing a model and helping, you know, showing what I do scratch build wise. Here you can see where I've already cut this side down. I've got to cut this side down and trim this up a little bit more right through here, and the plan is it should all fall in. You get kind of an idea where we're going right here, but it'll be something like that. The beadwork, I'm not sure. I've got some ideas on how to re-replicate it. I'm going to play around with that a little bit. If I figure it out, we'll do a video on it, and it'll help the realism of the undercarriage. But also keep in mind, there's going to be 2 mufflers hanging back there to kind of distract the eye. So, with that being said, I'm going to close this video out. If you like what you see, smash that like button. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment below. Love to hear what you've got to say. And as always, fellas, live, love, and laugh. Build the model for you. Take care, everyone. I'll see you again in the next video. Goodbye.